Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the next episode of Her Frequency podcast. We are here with a very exciting guest and a researcher I met when I visited Sweden at KTH. So we have with us Erika. Erika Zeglio, she's a researcher at KTH in Sweden, she's working on very exciting projects in her research, which kind of have some synergies with my work when it comes to interface of electronics with biology, biodegradable electronics, so on and so forth. So I remember we had great discussions, Erika, back in Sweden, on and off. So I leave it to you to introduce yourself to our audience, and then we take it from there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sweta. So hello everyone, I'm Erika, as Sweta introduced me. I'm a researcher at KTH and I work in organic bioelectronics. Sounds like a fancy word, but actually I work with conducting polymers, so polymeric material that are conductive. And I work a little bit with the chemistry of these particular materials. My Marie Curie project is on biodegradable conducting polymer materials to make actually biodegradable devices. And I am a chemist as a background, but now I work a little bit in interdisciplinary research and also the interface between chemistry, material science, engineering, and health.
Yeah, it sounds very much like me because I feel it very exciting that how research has evolved over the years, Erika. I mean, people used to be only material science or only chemists, and now we are, doing everything multidisciplinarily. And I think this should be a cue to attract young and good talent to our fields. Because we do everything. So you don't have to have a niche expertise in particular area to jump into STEM nowadays, don't you think?
No, exactly. It's good to start with something, but then you should not feel that you cannot enter another field if you want to later on. As I say, I started with as a chemist, but when I was actually looking for my university degree, I was actually very interested in biology too. And someone at that time told me, but no, you can start with chemistry and then you can go biology later on. And I was like, okay, maybe I can do that. And then it turned out, yes, you can. It's never too late.
Yeah, it's kind of resonates with me because when I was in India in high school, you have to choose between. At my time, you could only do engineering or biology, couldn't do together. My heart was with biology, but I had very good grades in physics and in maths. So it was like a pressure. Okay, don't go with biology, you might fail. So now I'm very happy to be working with biological applications, but though I'm an engineer
Yeah, I had something a bit like that, but I was like a bit, I had both good grades in biology and chemistry. And then I was, shall I go for chemistry? Sounds so hard. Maybe I fail. But then it turned out okay. I think you just need to be passionate about things to pursue them. You should not be too worried.
Exactly. But I'm very curious to know about your journey in STEM and how you landed up here as a researcher, Erika. I know there's some interesting facts behind this. So tell us more about it.
So, well, as I say, I started my bachelor and master in chemistry from Pavia University in Italy. So I'm Italian as origin. Then I came to Sweden for the first time in 2011 as an Erasmus student in Lund University. It was a really great experience for me, and this sort of was like the start of my internationalization, because from there I did a little exchange in Mexico for 1 month. It was really nice and interesting, and then I came back to Sweden as a sort of visiting researcher just after finishing my master's degree. And then in 2012, I started my PhD in Linköping University. And I finished at the end of 2016. Here is a 4-year program. And then in 2017, I moved to Australia. And there I started looking for postdoc. And then I actually found out that maybe it's a bit hard to get a postdoc in Australia. Maybe I should look for my own funding instead. And that's what I did. I worked quite hard to look for funding and to apply for funding to learn how to write a grant application, which turned out to be a little bit different than writing a manuscript. And yeah, I got my first fundings in 2000, end of 2017, beginning of 2018. And then in 2020, took the decision to come back to Sweden. And then I got in 2021 my the Marie Curie fellowship, which I'm currently in. So that helped me to continue my research here at KTH.
Yeah, it looks like you have aced the art of writing grants.
I hope
Yeah,
so.
with all the success. No, but that's cool. And that actually kind of brings me to a question, because when I talk to people that especially to young talent to join academia, they always say that it's so stressful to write grants and we don't have the support. Well, I know that some universities do really have a research support office, like at Aarhus University we have to provide you with, but nobody can sit down with you and write these grants and do this.
No.
So it's a process that you learn by failing,
Yes.
getting feedback somewhere and all that. Did you feel that you had help at hand, or maybe no help, and you learned on your own? How was your experience with grants?
I mean, as you said, it's. I mean, you need help. That's for sure. I found some great PIs that mentored me in the process. What you actually need when you start writing this grant is someone that gives you feedback.
Yep.
Because and also at that time I didn't find any course on this, or I didn't have really an idea of how to structure these things. So for me, it was really important to find really nice people that took the time to give me feedback, not of course on the content of the project, but also how to write.
Yeah.
And I took you need to fail. Like I feel that, or at least I needed to fail a few times. The first failure was the hardest to take. Because you start putting really your own ideas into what you hope to become a project, and then they tell you nope, that's rejected, and that's it's a bit hard to take in. But then you need to work on yourself and the feedback maybe that you get, and try to get better, and then eventually by persisting you can get there.
But then I mean, looking at this, I also see there's a huge opportunities for universities and research institutes to step in and maybe write, like we do have some courses on scientific writing. I know that for PhDs and postdocs, maybe it's a good idea to incorporate a course on how to write grants.
Absolutely. I think it's a very good idea. And the earlier you do, the better it is. I think already when you're approaching the end of your PhD, I mean, even if you're not landing a career in academia, maybe you're going to work for a startup. You never know. These things can be useful later on in your life.
Yeah, because even for startups, you need to write grants for soft funding and pitch for hard funding. You need to write documents. So I think this is a skill set, not just for academia for writing grants. So I think, I think that this could be pitched to different universities if people who are in managerial position listening to this podcast could be a good initiative to take up, for all of them to look into it. And that also brings me to another issue that we face in academia is, apart from writing grants, it gives us stress when we don't have the money. and I know you have something to say about stress and stress management in daily life in academia, and I'm looking forward to hear
of course. Yeah, stress is something that sometimes it's a bit unavoidable to feel stressed at a certain point in your project, in your life. You're gonna feel stress. In my life, I had a big source of stress was that I have to manage migraines. So I have like chronic migraine, which is like genetic disease. At that time when I started having migraines wasn't much known. But I think it's something nice to talk about, though I generally don't talk too much about, because it impacted me a lot during my master degree, for example, because sometimes I used to have like a few days. I'm not talking just about few hours, but few days of migraines, which was a bit hard to take. And it helped a lot to find the right medication for it. So now I can just um, take the right medication, and then okay, I can go on with my day. But at the time, it wasn't so, and that's something that I think maybe also other people can relate, because this kind of disease. One gets maybe into stress because you need to finish your exams, because you have a deadline, and then you get migraine, and then you get even more stressed because you cannot do the things that you're supposed to do. And then yeah, so that's kind of a circle. Then one has to find a good way to manage. And then another thing that I do to manage my migrants and make sure they come as little as possible is that I try to have a very balanced schedule, not only through the week, but also Saturday and Sunday, because maybe one build up a stress level Monday to Friday, and then one relax on a Friday and oh, sorry, on a Saturday, and that's when one feels sick.
Yeah.
For me, it's really, really important to have a balanced schedule. And one can think, how can you have a balanced schedule in academia? But I mean, we still, I think, have a kind of flexible working hours, which is something that I really enjoy in my work. So we need to work when our brain is most active, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to find a good way to schedule your day so that one can sort of have that kind of balance in life.
Yeah, I think that's a great input, because I have been trying to do something similar, because it's nothing related to migraine, but I had COVID 2 months back. And
Yeah.
after that, I have been dealing with what you call as fatigue. It's been 2 months, I still feel it. So it's the same. It's improving day by day, but it's not completely gone. So I'm definitely not on my 100%. And it happened last week that it was my son's friend's birthday, so I took him for a play date. For the whole day I was there. Then the next day there was a dinner arranged, and then the Sundays was a picnic for his class with his classmates. And all 3 days I was packed, and then I'm also writing a grant right now, and then there's a teaching load accumulated together. And by Sunday 7 o'clock, I just couldn't get out of the bed. It was like, no, I cannot lift a finger. And it has never happened with me. But then I realized, because as you said, I have stacked too many things without giving it a balance, and that just made me bedridden for half a day on Sunday. So.
Yeah, that's absolutely what happened. And the one is also, I mean, when it comes to prioritization, like everything is important. We have so many things to do. Everything is important. But one is, I think, to really find what is urgent and what is important, and try to focus on one thing at the time, and start, okay, we do this because it's urgent. The other things are also important, but maybe can wait a little bit.
Yeah.
It's really really important to discriminate between these things.
Yeah, I think it's especially when you grow older and when you have more responsibilities, very important to do that, because I'm only learning to realize this now after I had COVID. I am a very hyperactive kid, and I'm myself very hyperactive. So I like to do 100 different things at the same time. That's very me. But now I have realized, I make a list. This is the next 1 week agenda, the next 2 weeks. Okay, these things can wait. Okay. And I think it's important to take care of your health, because you never know what will strike you in these times. Yeah.
Health is the most important thing. There is nothing like, if we are not healthy, you can also not do your job eventually. Like it's so important to take care of yourself. Maybe that's also what I tell to myself, to remember to take some time to exercise. Because sometimes one tend to postpone, and it's like, no, I should maybe go for a run this evening when I come back.
Yeah. So yeah, I think as you said, it's stress has to be managed on a day-to-day life, not let it accumulate at any level and go for it. But other than that, do you have any other experiences from your journey that you would like to share with our audience, especially female audience, that you found that either something good in academia, that because you are a researcher in an academic environment, that makes it appealing, or something that you think could be improved further going forward?
Yeah, I think more for the universities to have more like flexible study plans that can take into account interdisciplinary research a bit better. Because as you say before, we are not anymore only engineer, only chemists, or only biologists. So I really want to see in the future more initiatives that take care about these aspects, new aspects actually, because I think also when you went to do your studies, it was everything very classified.
Yeah, exactly. It was a classic model that you can be one thing or the other, but not both. And I think but I think that's being quite on a large extent being recognized by a lot of universities around the world. I know KTH has a lot of interdisciplinary. Even at Aarhus, we have started to do a lot of these optional and elective courses which can be taken between different faculties. But I think we need to think a little more out of the box, because when you talk about these optional elective courses, I always see them within the faculty. Like, we are technical sciences, so okay, technical sciences people will merge, but I don't see them cross faculty. For example, why can't I sit with business people and learn a business model which I can later apply as an entrepreneur? Or maybe sit with people from psychology. If I work something to do with brain, it's always good to understand the psychology behind it. And I don't see that. And I think we need to maybe further expand that interdisciplinary and not try to limit ourselves with our research. Of course, research, I cannot take my research to psychology, for example. But if I'm interested, I can learn from it and maybe incorporate some aspects of its models into my work. But maybe it's just pure pleasure that I would want to learn, And I think it's important for students, for us as teachers, for students to give that space, that go and explore things that you only like and you might never work on them.
No, exactly. It's very important also like to include also a little bit of that flexibilities in the courses, so that the students need also to think about by themselves and be a bit creative about the process, because eventually I think also research is a space where one can be really, really creative, and sometimes the greatest discoveries comes from the unexpected.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it needs to open a little. I mean, we are a little conservative in our thinkings when we talk about, we are opening up, but we are still very, into it. Okay, this won't help. Why would psychology help? Or why would business help an engineer or a chemist? But I think we need to go beyond that, because I have two very good friends, where one friend is teaming up with an engineer. He's a design engineer on dance. She's a dancer, and they both are working together to see how both of them can bring together. The other is in fashion with electronics. It's now not new, but at that time, 5 years back, it was very new what we can do. So I think there are a lot of boundaries that we can cross and do something cool.
Absolutely. I think KTH already started in that direction, actually. We have I am part of two very different networks. One is the AIMS at KI and KTH, which is like Center for Interdisciplinary Research, and try to get a bit of life science together with engineering. And then at the same time, I'm also part of Digital Futures, which is, there is a lot of experts, for example, in AI, and really like hardcore electronics and engineer and computers, which are things that absolutely I don't know anything about. So it's really interesting to attend like all the different sides of seminars, and I'm quite sure there will be like very interesting projects coming up in the future from these interactions.
Yeah, and I think I'll tell all the students and the postdocs and the PhDs there that they should also bring out their own passion. If you have passion about sports, try to use it in your research, or see things. If you are into fashion, try to bring it forth, and that's how creativity can evolve even beyond your work hours, and and it becomes fun. So, and as you said, Erika, I think you should do what is fun and passionate for you. That's
Yeah.
always the bottom line, and you will
Yes.
find ways. Yeah. But it was great talking to you, Erika. Do you have any closing words that you would like to say to our audience, to especially the females out there who are striving to have a career in STEM?
What I would recommend is to be passionate and be persistent about your work. You're gonna get to whatever you want if you are just, persistent.
Yeah, I think that's some great wisdom there. And I would like to tell our audience that we have Erika would be giving a technical talk under Women in Engineering IEEE section, and I think we have scheduled it for the 10th of June. I will post the links and the details in the podcast below. So if you have time, please register and please hear Erika and all about the cool research. Yeah, and contact any of us if you have further questions. But it was a pleasure talking to you, Erika. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks to you for inviting me. It was very nice to speak to you.
Okay, great. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.